Hey everyone, today I have another low impact, quiet total body workout for you. No jumping around, so it is downstairs neighbors approved, and it uses the same format as a lot of these ones I've been posting since quarantine started. So it's broken up into 3 mini circuits. In each circuit, you have 3 exercises. You do them for 30 seconds apiece, back to back, so that's 90 seconds of work. You then rest for 30 seconds before repeating. In the first and third circuit, we're gonna go through them 3 times total. The middle circuit, we're gonna go through them 4 times because we isolate right, left, right, left. For equipment, all you're gonna need is a resistance band loop. Now, the main way we're using this is to add in upper body work to the lower body stuff, so it's not going around your thighs. So that being said, I wouldn't use a super heavy one. I'm using a medium strength resistance band. Now, depending on the brand of resistance bands you're using, medium can mean something different. So I would just go medium lightish. As with all workouts, you wanna make sure you're properly warmed up beforehand. I have a couple warm-ups on my channel that I've linked to below in the description, and always listen to your body, modifying or stopping as needed. If you're new to my channel, I don't play music in the background because I want you to be able to listen to whatever you like. So if you don't have a playlist or a podcast or a TV show queued up, you might want to get that going. And with that being said, I'm going to get to a preview of the first 3 exercises. You get a full minute to recover in between each of the 3 circuits. And during that recovery time, I'll give you a preview of the following 3 exercises. Okay, let's get to it. So for this first circuit, we are going to have the band around our forearms, an inch or 2 below your wrists. The first exercise, we'll do an alternating curtsy lunge, and as we sink low into that lunge, we're going to do a bent raise. So find a 90-degree bend with your elbows, forearms are parallel, and even in this starting position, you want tension on the resistance band, so we're not going to let it go slack. 30 seconds here, 1 foot steps back into that curtsy, bent raise, other side. When you do that bent raise, let's make sure that we're not shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears. You have a few more seconds in this one. Now, when you hear those beeps, we're going to hold a low squat position. We're going to switch it up, keep tension on the band. We'll pull it apart, and then we'll lift up and down. All right, so it's kind of like a pulse. Spread it wide twice, and then reach those arms up overhead and back down to chest height, holding that low squat position. So weight is in your heels. You're reaching your tailbone back. You have a long neutral spine. You're broad across the collarbones. Now, when you reach your arms up overhead, don't reach them so high that your rib cage puffs open, okay? We want to keep that abdominal connection. Final few seconds here. We're going to come into a squat slam. So pretend you have a med ball in your hands. You're going to reach those hands down low and then up overhead. Now, we want to keep tension on the resistance band. You might need to step your feet out into a slightly wider squat than we were just in. And I want you to add in a calf raise as you come up to the top, but don't come so high up onto the balls of your feet that you kind of lock your ankles out, okay? So maybe you're just lifting the heels up a couple inches because I don't want you to flop outward on those ankles. 30 seconds rest, so we're going to do that twice more. Now is your chance to kind of shake out those arms if those shoulders are talking to you. And we're about halfway through this rest interval, so if you took the band off to shake them out, put it back on, inch or 2 below your wrists. We're going to find that 90-degree bend with the elbows. Forearms are parallel, curtsy lunge with that bent raise. Let's go. Side to side, elbows lift and lower. When you lower the arms, don't just relax them and let the band flop them down. You're resisting down so that we're working in both directions. Final few seconds here. We have that squat hold coming up next when you hear those beeps. 2 pull aparts and 1 overhead raise.
Okay, let's find that low squat position. We pull apart on the band, and then you reach those arms up overhead and down. Now, when you're pulling apart on the band, I want your lats working. I don't just want your upper traps to kind of take all the tension. So your hands and your arms should kind of be, if you're wearing a sports bra, the band of your sports bra. Guys, if you were wearing a sports bra, that's where I would want your arms to be. So not too high. All right, we got those squat slams with that calf raise. Now, when you reach your hands down towards the ground, make sure that you're not hunching forward. So you really want to sit low in the squat. You're dropping your arms, you're not dropping your chest. As you come up, you're squeezing your seat. And I'm noticing some wobbling through my ankles as I do that calf raise, which means I am probably coming up too high. Remember, we want stable ankles as you lift and lower. And rest. All right, 30 seconds here to shake it out. We're going to do that just one final time. If that band is not around your forearms, let's get it there. We have that alternating curtsy lunge with that bent raise. So find a 90-degree angle with those elbows. Step and lift. You're over halfway through with this exercise. We have that squat hold coming up next, those two pull aparts, and that overhead raise coming up. Find a low squat position, hips slide down and back. We're hinging forward with the torso, but spine is neutral. You have that broad sensation across your collarbones. When we pull apart, remember, you might want to have your hands actually just a little lower than you might think so that the lats come to the party. When you lift those arms up overhead, pay attention what's going on with your rib cage. Don't let it splay open. We got those squat slams with the calf raise coming up. Let's go, final 30 seconds in this circuit. Arms reach down and up. Now with that calf raise, when you start to lift your heels, I want you to focus on grounding your big toe down to the floor. So your big toe and the part of the ball of your foot by your big toe, really focus your energy there. And that's gonna help keep those ankles stable so they don't kind of roll out to the sides. Squeeze your seat at the top. Final few seconds. And rest. You have 60 seconds. I'm going to show you our next 3 exercises. The second circuit, we're going to isolate one side at a time. So we'll go through it 4 times. To start, your right leg is going to be the focus, but your left arm is. So we're going to find a lunge position with your right foot forward, big step back with your left foot. Square your hips. Your left leg is going to stay straight. I want you to hinge forward. Band is gripped with your left hand, and your right arm is pinning it to your left shoulder. We're going to do a tricep kickback, and then it's a little bend and a stretch. So big kickback, bend press, and then bring it forward. Now, the reason I want you to have this big hinge forward with your torso in the lunge position is so that we're activating the back side of that right leg, so hamstrings and glutes, and we're going to kind of build on that in the next exercise. Now, when you hear the beeps, both hands grip the band, and we're going to lean forward even more into a deadlift position, and you're going to kick that back left leg up. As you do, you're going to give me a row. So you're just holding on to the resistance band. There's some tension in it, but it's admittedly not playing a huge role here. The focus is balancing on that right leg. Keep a soft bend in the right knee. Keep your hips square to the floor, and maintain that neutral spine as your leg kicks up so that the lift is really coming from your glutes and hamstrings and not your low back. Get ready to plant that back left foot down, come into a split lunge, row that left elbow back, knee drive that left knee in, hold low on your right side. So a little burnout for this right leg. The row is just on that left arm. Keep your right arm forward. Knee drive in and out, one row. We have a slight lean forward with the torso, maybe not as exaggerated as the previous two exercises, but still little lean forward. We're not completely upright. 30 seconds to rest. So we're going to do that same sequence just on the other side. So it'll be left leg and it'll be right arm. Let's start getting into position. So your left leg is going to be forward. Step your right leg back. Right leg is straight. Square your hips, big lean forward. Pin your left hand to your right shoulder and the right arm is going to do the kickback. So it's a kickback and then a little bend stretch. The bend stretch, think of it kind of like a pulse. You bend the elbow and then reach the arm long. On the kickback, don't let the resistance band slingshot your fist forward, so resist it back. Final few seconds here. You're going to keep the resistance band just gripped in both hands. You're going to lean forward even more. All the weight shifts into that left foot. Your right toes are so light. Lift your right leg up as you row those elbows towards the ceiling. Now, when you row, you're not sinking into your low back. So there's no change in my spine. It's maintaining neutral. Now, check in with your right hip. I want you to pull it a smidge closer to the floor so that you're truly keeping it level with your stationary left hip. Get ready to plant that right foot back. You're in a split lunge position. Both knees are bent. Row that right elbow back. Drive that right knee in and out. We're holding low on that left side. Ground down through that left foot. Little lean forward with your torso so your shoulders can be kind of pitched over that front left knee, but not as big of a lean as the previous two moves. So you might feel your quads start to talk to you a little more, the top of that left thigh. And just like that, you are halfway through this circuit. We are going to do it twice more, once on each side. So we start to get into position. Right foot is forward. Plant the ball of your left foot behind you. Square your hips back. Leg stays straight. Lean forward. Your left arm is doing the kicking. Your right fist is on your left shoulder, pinning that resistance band in place. It's a kickback and a bend stretch. So from the top of my head to that back left heel, it's one long diagonal line. Your neck is part of that line. So let's make sure we're not letting the head hang heavy. We're also not craning it. So you're kind of looking at the floor in front of you. Make sure you're not starting to hunch through that left shoulder so you're really broad across the collarbones. We have that deadlift coming up. All right, resistance band in both hands. Now lean forward a little more. You are so light through that left foot. You kick that left leg up as you row those elbows in and down. Just a light tap. You barely want to shift any weight into that left foot. This is a balance challenge. We're not locking out that standing knee. It is soft. You have under 10 seconds to go here. When you hear those beeps, you plant down through that back left foot, bend both knees into kind of a split lunge position, row, knee drive. Let's go. Row that left elbow back, drive the knee in and out. It's quick. Final 10 seconds here. And 30 seconds to rest. We're going to go through those three exercises just one final time, and then we'll move into our last circuit. So you know the drill by now, but let's set up. Left foot forward, right foot back, right leg is straight, square your hips. Left hand comes to your right shoulder to hold the band in place. Open up across your chest, right arm is doing the kickback. Kickback, bend stretch. Check in on your hips. Make sure you're not opening up through them, so you might need to take that back right hip and shift it forward a little bit. When you hear those beeps, we will keep that soft bend to the left knee, but you will get even lighter through your back right foot. Deadlift kick with that row. Elbows up as the leg lifts, lower them down with control, light tap, shift barely any weight into that right leg. Final few seconds here. When you hear the beeps, you're going to plant down through that back foot, split lunge position, one row, one knee drive. Left arm stays forward, right elbow does the row. Let's go. You have 10 seconds left in this circuit. And a full minute to recover. I'm going to show you our final 3 exercises. Final circuit, and we're just going to do 3 rounds of this one because we will not be alternating sides. So you want the resistance band loop kind of around the arches of your feet, and we're going to come into a boat pose, balancing just behind our sits bones. Knees are going to be bent, shins parallel to the floor. Now, one arm stays forward, the other hand grips the band, and we're going to do a high row, which means your palm stays facing the floor. You row one elbow back and then the next. Now, as you row the elbow back, we're not arching into our low back, so I would recommend exhaling as you row. If you're having trouble with that, it's just going to help you keep the abdominals engaged. Few more seconds to go here. With control, you're going to release the band with your hands, keep it right where it is around your feet, and we're just going to go into a hollow crunch or a full body crunch. So everything extends out to a hover, and then you come back into that starting boat pose position. Arms overhead, legs extend straight, everything comes back up. You'll notice when I lower down, I'm not resting my neck and my head on the floor. So I'm just kind of coming to a hollow hold and back up again. Now I want you to make this next transition as quick as you can. We're just going to flip around into a plank position for those slow mountain climbers. Find a plank without losing the band. Hands stacked under shoulders, legs are long, and then one knee at a time crunches into the same elbow. So it's not about speed. It's not a regular mountain climber. You're pulling the knee towards the arm, stepping it back, other side. And I want you to get that knee as close to actually touching your arm as possible. Oh, Pickles has had enough. She's out. And rest 30 seconds here. So we'll go through that twice more. Let's make our way back towards that boat pose position. So you're bouncing just behind your sits bone. So there is a little scooping, a little rounding through the low back, through that lumbar spine. But with your middle and upper spine, you're staying pretty tall. So really reach the crown of your head towards the ceiling. One elbow draws back, switch hands, then the next, going side to side. Final few seconds here. With control, the hands will release the band. We're going to go into that crunch. All right, arms extend overhead as the legs extend. Everything comes back in. Now, if this is too much, you're probably lowering your legs a little too close to the floor. They can go at a 45-degree angle or even higher if needed, okay? There's no sense in going really low with them and having that low back peel up and arch towards the ceiling. Flip around into that high plank position, hands stacked under shoulders. One knee at a time draws in towards the elbow. So with the resistance band, yes, you're going to feel your hip flexors working. They should be working. We want to make sure that they're not the only muscle group working, that we want to get into the abdominals. So I want you to start with an exhale. Think of drawing in through the abdominals, then the knee starts to move in. 30 seconds to rest. All right, we're going to do that just one final time and then you are done with this workout. So think of it this way, just 90 seconds of work remaining. We're going to find that boat pose position, adjust the resistance band if needed. It's kind of around the arches of your feet. Roll back so that you're balancing just behind your sits bones. Open through the chest, so broad collarbones here. Palm stays facing the floor as you draw one elbow back and then the next. Now you want to do this row without any distortion of your cervical spine, and that's a fancy way of saying don't jut your head forward and back and rock your head as you do the row. Final few seconds here. When you hear those beeps, release the band with your hands. We're going to go into that hollow crunch. If this hollow crunch is too much, keep your back down on the floor, okay? Just crunch up through the cervical spine. Don't come all the way back up to balance on behind your sits bones, and it'll be a little easier that way. You can also keep the arms reaching forward if you're staying on the ground. When you hear those beeps, quick transition into a high plank. Flip around, hands under shoulders. Reach your heels back, squeeze the quads. You're active through the legs. On an exhale, one knee draws in, step it back, then the other side. Doesn't matter how many reps you get in. I want the knee pulling as close to actually touching your arm as possible. 10 seconds left in this workout. And done. Awesome work.
Hope you enjoyed this workout. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I post new workouts here every Monday. I'll see you next week.